Hi everybody, Fred the Pirate here, and I am here to do a review of Attack on Titan, episode 14. Um, alright, so what happens in this week's episode, obviously two notable things is that we got a new opening and a new ending. And I have to say, the animation for both the openings and the endings were as good as the first and second openings, but I have to say I like the song for opening one a lot better than I liked the song for opening two. Although the animation for opening two did bring up a lot of interesting questions because in one part of the opening we see Armin covered in blood, so that was really interesting. Um, and yeah, so I don't like he was covered in a lot of blood, so I don't know if the like Titans have blood or like some weird psycho shit happened. But definitely really intriguing. Um, yeah, and I did like the song for opening two. And the animation for opening two was really good. Um, I think the openings, as usual, focused on a lot of the characters and cast, but the closing two focused kind of a lot on Mikasa, but there were still other characters. But I'm not really surprised by that because the closings do seem to focus a lot on Mikasa. So maybe that's kind of a trait that will happen with the openings and closings. Um, so with that said, let's get to the episode itself. I actually like this week's episode. I don't think a lot of people did because it's not quite as actiony as most of the episodes seem to be. But a lot of interest, at least in my opinion, we found out a lot of interesting things. So what happens in this week's episode is Eren ends up going through a military tribunal to figure out which division of the military should keep custody of him. So there's a conflict where the Survey Corps wants to keep custody of Eren, but the military police want to keep custody of Eren also because the military police thinks Eren's a threat. And mainly they want to get custody of Eren so they can kill him. Um, and kind of their main reason for doing this isn't so much that Eren can turn into a Titan, but the fact that the general population of Eren's society has found out that Eren can turn into a Titan. Not necessarily that they know it's Eren as an individual, but they know that there is a Titan that is in league with humanity. And so this has caused a significant social conflict because the elite of Eren's society are concerned that the Titan could be trying to infiltrate society so it can get into the upper echelon of society and ultimately destroy the social elite. But the lower class members of Eren's society are very hopeful about this Titan because they think that the Titan can be used as a tool to take back their land. So this is causing quite a fissure between people in Eren's society, and it's definitely divided by class lines. Um, so the military, like Eren's society happens to be on the verge of civil war, and so the military police want to kill Eren so they can prevent that. Obviously, the Survey Corps wants to keep Eren so they can use him to take back the land between Wall Rose and Wall Maria. So they want to take that back. So essentially what happens in this episode is that the commander of the Survey Corps, who is, I believe, who is named Erwin Smith, and the commander of the military police, um, go in front of the leader of the entire military, and they talk to him, and they make arguments for why they should why each of them should have Eren. And so pretty much the military corps says, you know, we need to keep him so we can kill him because his presence is inciting civil war. Commander Erwin Smith is like, well, we want to use him as a weapon so we can take back the land between Wall Rose and Wall Maria. And so pretty much that's kind of what happens in the episode. Ultimately, the Survey Corps ends up being successful in convincing the leader of their military as to why they should be able to have custody of Eren. But the interesting thing about this is that during the tribunal, there were actually a lot of civilians in the courtroom. So I found that pretty interesting because in some of the civilians there were members of a church. So during different points of the trial, different civilians would interject their opinions about Eren and the issue. Like there was a merchant who said, they should just kill Eren because he's a threat, and that they should just seal up all of the gates to Wall Rose and just keep themselves in the walls because they figured, they sealed up the gate through the wall through the village of tourists, and so there shouldn't be too much of. And he figures that since they did that, the Titans wouldn't attack again. Levi kind of interjects in response to this and saying are you stupid and do you really think that's a good plan? That's gonna hold up. There was also a priest who interjected, and he actually brought up he actually gave us some pretty interesting information, which is he disagreed with the merchant about altering the wall. Not so much that he disagreed with him about killing Eren because he was in favor of that because he was kind of freaked out by Eren, or at least that he can turn into a Titan. But he said, that he didn't agree with altering the walls because he thought to do so would be sacrilegious because apparently the walls, apparently Wall Maria, Wall Rose, and Wall Sheena have been in existence for longer than Eren's society has. So as far as his society knows, those walls have always been there. So I found that pretty interesting because I know that in episode 1, I think they mentioned that Eren's society has been around at least for 700 years. So the walls are older than that. And from the way the priest talked, it seemed like that they were significantly older than that because apparently the walls had been around like way longer than anyone could remember because they don't even know who made the walls. They just know they've been there. So that's definitely a pretty interesting point and kind of suspicious of so it's like you didn't build the walls and you don't know who made them, but you've lived in them for like a really, really long time. So that's definitely something both really interesting and kind of suspicious because it does beg the obvious point, like who built the walls and like why are you living in them? And I think there probably has to be more to them living in the walls than just that they protect them from the Titans because they don't really do that good of a job of protecting them from the Titans as we've seen in the series. So, definitely a pretty interesting point. So we find out about that through the course of the tribunal, the way the Survey Corps convinces the leader of the military to have custody of Eren is that they mentioned that they're kind of the only ones that could effectively do anything to Eren if he were to get out of control. Like they're the only ones that have the ability to kill him if he was supposed to get out of control. And kind of the way they do this is that through the course of the trial, the civilian witnesses to his trial, like they kind of get freaked out by Mikasa because it's mentioned that there was one time where Eren kind of lost control of his Titan form, and so Mikasa says that this is correct, but she interjects that he's taken his Titan form at least 3 times, and 2 of those times that he directly protected her. But the commander of the military police says that Mikasa's testimony is suspect because she's lived with Eren for a long time after her parents got killed, and that they mentioned that she and Eren killed 2 people and killed her kidnappers when they were 9, so he was kind of trying to paint them as being kind of brutal. And so this actually freaked out a lot of the civilians in there, and they said, like, well, we should kill Mikasa too because she's obviously in league with Eren and she might also not be a human. And so this pisses Eren off, and he just goes ham on the people in the courtroom, and he just calls them cowards, and he's like, you guys have all this money and all this power, and what do you do with it? You just sit on your asses in these gilded cages, like, while everybody else goes out and fights for you, which is bullshit. Um, and so the way they do this is when he's doing this is Levi jumps down onto the courtroom floor and he proceeds to beat the shit out of Eren in response to this. And this actually gives Levi an opportunity to talk to both the leader of the military and to the commander of the military police, where he mentions, and he talks directly to the commander of the military police, and he was like, if you did get a hold of Eren, like, and he lost control, like, what would you do to him? And how do you plan on killing him since he can turn into a titan? Like, what are you going to do with that? It's like, and he kind of points out pretty brutally that the commander of the military police really doesn't have any plans for Eren. And I think Commander Erwin Smith interjects and he says, it would probably be safer for the Survey Corps to have Eren, so that way, because they're going to take Eren out back into the territory that's infested with Titans and that doesn't have a lot of people. And so that way, if something did happen to Eren, he wouldn't be around people, and it would probably be easy to take care of them. And Levi confirms that if they can't do anything with Eren, or if he was to get out of control, that he could probably easily kill him. And so the leader of the military agrees, and so he gives, obviously he gives Eren to the Survey Corps. Um, Another interesting thing we found out is that when Levi was beating the shit out of Eren, that he actually knocked one of Eren's teeth out. And after the trial, when Eren is talking to the Survey Corps, one of the other members of the Survey Corps, who is named Hanji Zoe, she's the lady with the glasses that we saw, that she checks out Eren's mouth because she's kind of interested in examining him physically to figure out kind of how his body works. And she actually finds out that the tooth he lost grew back. And it grew back really quickly because I think it's kind of implied that it's only been like maybe 5 or 10 minutes since the end of he had the tooth knocked out. So, though apparently Eren, even in his human form, can grow back body parts very quickly. So definitely really interesting. Definitely looking forward to the upcoming episode because apparently Eren's going to meet more of the Survey Corps member, and apparently they're kind of wonky. So I think some of them, I think the preview kind of describes them at best as being revolutionaries, and at worst being just flat out weirdos. So I'm definitely looking forward to that episode and seeing who the different members of the Survey Corps are. And with that said, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this week's episodes, or your thoughts on the series in general. So make sure to comment, rate, and subscribe, and I will see you guys again next time.